your main event. Introducing the hosts of Wrestling with Freddie, Jeff Dye, and Freddie Prinze Jr.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Friends. And you missed the preamble, but it was very weird. Welcome, my co-host, Mr. Jeff Dye, who loves dogs more than people. How are you, sir?
I'm feeling good, man. What a week of wrestling, huh?
Yeah, and some good build-up, too. Good build-up to future wrestling as well. A little bit of news. A lot of news coming in, but we'll make it quick. News. The Hulu deal is changing. SmackDown used to air the next day on Hulu. It's now going to transition over to Peacock for next day streaming, as their deal with Hulu just ended. As far as Raw next day streaming, that's going to remain on Hulu until the end of 2025. And then that's when Raw is going to officially move all their replays to Netflix, which is where Raw will be as well in the new year. So enjoy all that news. We also learned a little bit more about AEW and their new deal. Dynamite and Collision are going to stay on TBS and TNT, and they're going to be putting their pay-per-views on Max. I still don't know why Max got the control of the name when they weren't as cool as HBO. Max was like where like the sexy movies were at. Like late at night, Skinamax, everybody called it. Like, nobody ever had like a slander for HBO. They just made cool stuff. I feel like it should still be HBO.
Cinemax was the first when I was a young boy going through puberty long ago. Cinemax was the first time I realized that everyone has sex. It was when I was like, oh, even gross people have sex. Like, I didn't know. I was a kid. I didn't know. So then I was like, oh yeah, 100% of people are having, even the people we see amongst us in society, they're all doing it.
That's right. Everybody gets busy.
I think the show was called Real Sex, and it was like just everyday people.
These are the lessons you learn on Wrestling with Friends, people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's doing it. We also learned that Rampage will be ending. But fear not, for there will be a new show that looks like it's called Shockwave, and it could possibly be heading towards Fox. Fox wants to stay in the wrestling business, and all the companies that they own also want to be in the wrestling business as well. They all believe in philosophy of having multiple wrestling brands on their networks as well, because wrestling is back. And you can quote me on that. They're not afraid. At least I know for a fact that two networks aren't afraid to have two different wrestling brands on their network. And that should be the biggest news update, but it's not, alas. So,
I would like to ask the question to the listeners. And correct me if I'm wrong, criticize me if you're not on board with this, but also let me know if you agree. Does it feel like it's too much? The USA this, the Fox that, the TNT, TNA, blah, blah, blah. It's going to Netflix, it's streaming. SmackDown is now 3 hours. Raw is cut to 2. We're going back to 3 in the fall. It seems like too much. I just want to go to a place, watch it's already confusing enough that it's Rampage, SmackDown, Raw, NXT. There's all these different kind of things where you're going, I guess it's like a lot of different stuff, but now the networks are gone. So is it too much or am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I think you're pretty dead on. I think things will obviously settle in. And once they do, it'll feel less chaotic because it'll be less chaotic. But I think you're feeling that because it is that. Everything is kind of moving and jumping and bouncing around and changing formats and changing looks. We'll get into that on the Friday Night SmackDown when they did that cool new SmackDown, that cool new style promo with the Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. But yeah, there is a lot of flux right now. And so I think that's why you feel that way. And you're probably not alone, but it is all going to settle in. The big dogs are all going to have their new homes and their new 5-year deals, or they could even be longer. I don't know. I'm just throwing 5 out there because that's usually a standard deal, 5 to 7. And then I think there's room for some of the smaller ones to come up, not just TNA, but some of the MLWs and the GCWs. I think there's room for them to find a spot in TV. And I know that there's networks interested in their product. So yeah, man, I think there's going to be a lot, and the flux can last, it lasts as long as it lasts. But as long as people are talking wrestling and people are wanting to be in business with wrestling. Once it settles in, everybody kind of has a home. Everyone develops their own fan base. Every fan base goes, ours is better. And it becomes like baseball. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of, playing against each other, you're comparing ratings and you're comparing promos against other promos and our matches versus your matches. But I think that's all good for the product.
That is the positive side of it. It's good for wrestling. If everybody wants to be in the wrestling business, that's good for wrestling. I was just wondering, because occasionally I will criticize something and I'll go, oh, this is just me getting older. Because when I was young, there was two channels. We had TNT and we had USA. And you would jump back and forth with the Monday Night Raws or the Monday Night Wars. Or just in general, you would, even before or after the Monday Night Wars, you would still jump back and forth with two channels. Whereas now it seems like, because of the internet and social media, we're constantly talking about like if they sold out Philadelphia, or like, oh, the attendance in Berlin was so it's like there's just all these new kind of wrestling conversations that I'm like, I'm not a sports agent or a network executive. I don't care about any of this stuff. I'll watch wrestling if you put it on Telemundo or you put it on USA or you put it on whatever. I'm going to watch it. So I'm just wondering, when I say, is it too much? Do we care? And if we do care, why? And I'm just trying to get to the bottom of that. But it's good to know that people love wrestling. That's the real point.
Yeah, TV deals.
The answer is we're both getting older. That's the answer, I think.
You know what, though? I think to people outside the entertainment industry who have a genuine interest in the entertainment industry, they're interested in not just the creative side, but the analytics as well. For me, the analytics are something that I have to deal with, like in contracts for movies and TV and stuff like that. But it's never anything I like to deal with. I just want to make what I like making, and and let the business people, deal with that other crap, because it's just unattractive to me. And I know it's show business, and I'm very aware of which word's bigger. But sometimes we focus so much on the business side of things that we forget the show. And
stand-up comedy right now is all business and no show.
So is everything. And that's the problem. And I think that has to correct eventually. And I think it corrects by people talking about it and saying, hey, I think we're going a little too far in this direction, and we're almost following corporate philosophies instead of creating our own. But so more wrestling is good. Boundary pushing is good, especially in art. I think you have to challenge ideas in art, whether it's brutality on camera and blood and stuff like that I get squeamish by, but I still accept it's an evolution of wrestling, to the types of promos people can say, from a standard CM Punk to a pipe bomb type promo from MJF and everything in between. Like, all that stuff needs to exist. The crowd will let you know if you can get away with it twice. If they hate it, they're going to let you know right away. But you still have to be allowed to make that mistake and screw up. But under a corporate philosophy, those mistakes are no longer allowed, because they're publicly traded companies, and people on social media know that. And if they get a hashtag strong enough, it applies pressure to the publicly traded company, which then loses value. So all this stuff is connected, and it sucks. And artists should just be able, we talk about this like every week now, but artists should just be able to make art. And that's what professional wrestlers are. They are artistes, and they should be allowed to make their art.
100%. Like, we might not like a needle through the lip, but
I thought we were done talking about that.
we gotta respect a big swing. They took a big swing, and that's what we like. So it's kind of the same thing for everything.
Yeah, it's like that movie studio A24. Like, you can say what you want about them, but they are independent. They are not owned by a corporation, and they take big swings. Sometimes they hit with movies like X and that trilogy that they put together. Sometimes it's a miss, but they take swings because they can. They allow themselves to make mistakes and evolve and develop as a company. Whereas a lot of these studios, and I hate to say this because I work for them, and I don't like criticizing your boss, but I try to say these things in a constructive way. We have to trust artists way more than we do, and mistakes must be allowed. If they're not, then there is no evolution. We just stay put under like this sort of like cyberpunk corporate philosophy that can't exist. Like, everything can exist under that. That's only one way of thinking. talk some friggin' wrestling, dude. Let's talk about CM Punk. CM Punk's worst promo is a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, sorry.
His medium promo is a 10 out of 10. And when he's awesome, there is no like promo that can really hang with his. It's just he's in a rare air. And there's like one other guy right now who can do that, and that's Max. He's done it multiple times. He didn't do it, I didn't think, with the Will Ospreay thing, although that was a cool story. I just wish it would have gone on longer and they could have told a longer one. But he's done it as well. But CM Punk has done it forever. And I know everyone gushes on CM Punk, but I've been critical of CM Punk at times.
We both have.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge when he is great. And this was such a subtle, not humble at all, but dangerous promo. And he let himself sound and look old. But there was wisdom in that age, and there was experience in that age, and there was vulnerability in that age, and he just told the truth. And the truth is, yeah, a lot of people told me not to do this, but I don't give a fuck what anybody else said. I'm going to listen to the voice inside me over my wife, over my sister, over my friends, over my family. Fuck you, man. I'll see your ass in hell. And it was he said it so much better than I'm saying it. And I'm putting more passion into it than he did. He played this very stoic. It was very stoic. Like, you're not getting emotion out of me anymore, Drew. I'm just going to kill you, and I'm prepared to die. And that's a great thing. Like, I remember the Israel Adesanya fight where in between rounds, you can see him mouth the words. I think it was against Yoel Romero, where he said, I'm prepared to die. I'm prepared to die. And he's telling himself that before the fucking round starts, which is such an insane thing. And it makes you realize in UFC fights, oh yeah, these dudes could die. Like, if the ref's too slow, they could die. Like, it's such a hardcore thing. So when people say that, and WWE, we make it real, right? That's such real shit for his character to say based on what he's gone through with this other character in Drew McIntyre. And I love that they keep them apart. And it's like, if Drew's going to cut the promo, Punk's not allowed in the building that week. And if Punk's going to cut the promo, Drew's suspended or is injured from the beatdown. Like, they always keep them apart. And they've turned this into, maybe it's not the Bloodline story, but the Bloodline story is like the foundation that all other stories are existing on right now, because it's gone on for over a year. It's like over 2 years now. But this has been a wonderful, refreshing dose of old school wrestling presented in a new school way, from their entrances to the transitions from segment to segment to the shit that they're talking to each other and the reasons why they're fighting. And it's been so much fun to watch that there's times where I'm like, you guys know me well enough to be like, I like a long drawn out story. Maybe some people think this is going on too long, but I love that they don't touch each other. I love that they just talk shit. I love the way Drew handles the crowd when they scream CM Punk. That chant is getting him over, and it's a chant of someone else's name. And he's so smart about it. Like, I just love everything about this dude. And now I'll shut up and let you tell everyone.
What do you mean? This is what we want. Well, I love that. I agreed with all that. I will say, let me start by saying I loved it. I love the segment. I love this lead up. I love we're getting a Hell in a Cell. I'm very, very excited about it. Also, Hell in a Cell is a much better thing to watch on television than in a live audience, because it is hard to see.
Have you been to one?
Yeah, because it's the chain that they do a weird thing. In the old 90s things, there was big squares you could see through, and even though it looked it didn't look as intimidating as a silver Hell in a Cell or a red Hell in a Cell, but at least you could watch it from the audience. We have the luxury of the cameraman inside the Hell in a Cell, so it's going to be good to watch on TV. Now, as much as I love it all, is it a bit much to say I'm ready to die? First of all,
that was my favorite part. That was my favorite part of the promo. Well, he can't really die. I know that.
You're not ready to die. And even when the UFC guy says, I'm ready to, they're not ready to die. Let me tell you,
he was ready to die.
Troops that defend our country, they have to say things like, I'm ready to die. No, hear me out. They have to say, I'm ready to, and they're not ready to die. They'll do anything to live. Like the living is so important to everyone. No one's ready to die.
But it's like a movie. You got to suspend the disbelief.
That's why I liked it.
You're being a dick.
But that's why I liked it. No, that's why I liked it. Because it was like.
He was ready to die, damn it. I saw it in his eyes.
So silly to just go, I'm going to do this Hell in a Cell with True Man. I'm ready to die. I heard it. I rolled my eyes, and then I was like, actually, it's pretty cool.
It did make you roll your eyes for real?
Yeah.
Oh,
for a second. Right. Yeah. No, right away. I was like, he's ready to die. Dude, we're going to murder each other.
Yeah.
It's wrestling.
It's Hell in a Cell, Jeff. It's Hell in a Cell.
I know. That's why I liked it after I regathered and reminded myself I'm watching wrestling. I don't know how often I have to tell myself, Jeff, it's wrestling. So
that's right.
I loved it. I think it's great. CM Punk is such a beast. And if you ever go back and listen to me talk about CM Punk, I've been very critical. I am a bandwagon CM Punk fan. I'm always willing to admit when I've come around on a thing or when I was wrong. CM Punk rules. He is great. And I'm really happy to see how he's almost made everyone forget about how tumultuous his run was in AEW this last go around. And so it's been fun to watch what he's doing. And although for a moment I thought it was too much, I do think it's very, very cool. And I'm very excited for the Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, man, his promos are next level. And I know that so many young wrestlers are watching those and trying to steal what they can and make it their own and develop. And if they're not, I hope you have a friend that's wrestling and you tell him, yo, you got to watch that promo and steal it and make it your own and create your own stuff. Because that stuff is just, that's how it's done. Anyway, moving on to our favorite and one other person's favorite human being as well, Rhea Ripley. But that other person is Jey Uso.
Yes.
He's in love, 100% in love. We said this weeks ago. We recognized the love. It was actually months ago, the first time we saw her, and it's true.
It's blossoming, and they're taking their time with it.
Yeah, and it's not like Dominic, who was just using Rhea. He was just using her as a stepladder to get what he wanted, and then as soon as things were tough, boom, peaced out on her. When things were good, everything was cool.
Finn. Turns out Finn Balor was nudging him that direction.
Yeah, he's a jerk too. Irish, even though I'm part Irish. So anyway, Finn was a jerk. Jey Uso came up and he's like, yo, you need to get up out of here, man. It's my lady. Well, he didn't say that, but that's his attitude. And then Braun Breaker comes up and he's like, little bitch ass, tear you up.
Yes.
And Jey Uso's like, you call me a bitch ass? What? And they kind of get into it, and we're building up to a match that I'm bummed out on because Jey Uso can't win it. I don't think they're going to take a belt off of Braun Breaker yet. He just got the damn thing.
Yeah, and he's a star.
They put the name Main Event Jey Uso on Jey Uso, and he still hasn't won a title. Braun's talking about it. He didn't bring up the name thing, which is good. You got to protect the guy's money, right? Like that shit is on his t-shirt, so you can't talk shit on that. He's got to get one eventually. I just wish he hadn't have won the Eliminator to get into this position, because I don't want to see Jey lose this match. I want to see Jey win it. Now, look, I've been wrong on the IC belt plenty of times. I didn't think that Sammy would retain it the first time. I knew he would lose it the second time. But I don't see them doing that short of a reign on Braun Breaker in this position. And someone has to lose and someone has to give him a great match. But I just feel like there were so many dudes that could give him a great match. Why are you doing it to a guy named Main Event Jey Uso? Yeah. I don't like the situation that he's in. Now, if I'm wrong, let me be wrong, wrestling gods. All the great fallen warriors, let me be wrong.
Also, is the Intercontinental really the main event? Have we ever had the
It's been
IC
built up.
belt as
I respect it more than most
event?
people. I respect it more than most people. But I feel like it's been built up, and he can't fight for the world title right now. He's not in a position to do that, but he is in one for this. And I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're not interrupting. We're just talking, but I mean, like the IC belt has a great history. We're talking Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man Randy Savage. It used to be the belt. You'd be like, well, there's the Hogan belt, and then we all compete for the IC championship. And I feel like it could. I feel like they should try to make that strap a little bit more prestigious. But either way, if he's going to be called Main Event Jay, like I don't really see the IC belt as the main event. You maybe keep it on Braun, do some shenanigans for Jay, so that he can go kind of pursue the heavyweight championship as the world title.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just looking at it story-wise, you can't take that belt off of Gunther because you're establishing him as the friggin' man for Seth Rollins to come back. So then he'd have to lose there too. So maybe they're saying it's better to lose to the up-and-comer than it is to Gunther. I don't know, man. I just wish he would have lost that eliminator match to any of the other three dudes. And you can protect him and just let him have Damian and Rhea's back for a little while longer. And then him and Finn can beef it up and he can beat Finn's ass and then move on to one of those other belts, something like that. I think he's in a tough spot and I don't want to see him lose, and he for sure has to lose.
There was an interesting thing I wanted to talk about in the little, I don't know if it's an interview or whatever it's called, the backstage thing where Rhea and Finn were having their thing, and then Jay came up and kind of defended Rhea's honor, and Finn's like, no problem here, and like walked away. Yeah. There was a moment, Finn Balor said, listen, he points to Rhea and goes, Jay, you're out of your league. She's out of your league, And then he goes, why don't you focus on the IC championship that you got coming up, And then Rhea agreed. She goes, Finn's right. And he goes, I think this was improv. Jay goes, what? That I'm out of your league? And then she's like, no, I meant that you should focus on your IC belt. Oh, sorry. I think that part was in the script. I think this next line that Jay said was improv, where he goes, I was going to say. He kind of suggesting like, girl, you ain't out of my league, which I thought clashed with kind of what they're doing. Because his little line of being like, because girl, you ain't out of my league might fit his character, but it doesn't really fit what they're doing where he's like smitten over Rhea and has a crush, Like I thought that was a strange, because even she kind of like looked like in him, like a strange, like she wasn't expecting him to say that.
Jey Uso's his own man. You gotta understand that he's not going to take it from anybody, not even a girl that he'll defend the honor of. He's not going to take it from anybody. And there's no one. I'll tell you this straight up. I was watching that segment and my wife came in and the first words out of her mouth, she goes, "Who's that? He's handsome." And she was talking about
who? Jey Uso?
Yeah. Yeah. And she's a tough critic. It's like me, Benjamin Bratt, and Jey Uso. And that's it. Like that's the freaking list, bro. So yeah, man, I've always liked Jay. I like him more than most. I think he's a star. He's really kind of found himself. And now you've seen it. He doesn't take it from anybody, not even Rhea.
They did a weird thing too in the ring after that segment where Braun Breaker and Jey Uso are going back and forth. And there was a big pop from the crowd, a big ooh, because Jey Uso said, I hope that your IC run is longer than your run in the NFL. And then everyone like laughed or whatever. But there's these interesting things that wrestling does. To make a dig about how short Braun Breaker's NFL run or his football run was is like when they go, oh, your movies go straight to DVD, blah, blah. But like every wrestler's movies pretty much go straight to DVD if you don't count Rock and Hulk Hogan. And then if you also like, if you're going to make a dig at how short someone's NFL career, your former tribal chief had a very short NFL run. That was
sure, but that's all done with permission, man.
I know. No, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's like, it's maybe not the best shit talk because like there's so many wrestlers with short NFL, all of them. Goldberg, Braun, what's his name? Brock Lesnar. When tried out,
but
he's
got to hit him with something, bro. He's got to hit him with something that he knows is gonna. He's got to hit him with something he knows is gonna hurt.
Yeah,
and that hurt. It made him want to hit him with a spear, so it hurt.
It hurt for sure.
Finally, Jeff, there's turmoil in a group that I never thought would see turmoil. A team that you could argue is more positive than your co-host, Mr. Positive Prinze. And that's the New Day. Ever since Big E has had his injury, which I believe he's recovered from, but it still was a broken neck, so he probably can't wrestle again. But ever since he's been gone, they haven't had the success that they had together. 2 world champions, a King of the Ring, multi-time tag champions. And since then, not too much. And things have been going weird. He had to deal with the Final Testament. He had to deal with them, and they planted some seeds of doubt in his head that I didn't think would get through, but they've gotten through. And then Kofi made a crucial mistake and made a strategic decision for their tag team championship match. And he asked for help from the LWO without telling his tag team partner. Now, this pissed Xavier Woods off, and the best friends are having beef. And I totally get where Woods is coming from. Former guest of the show, Xavier Woods. I get where he's coming from, because I'd be pissed too, Jeff, if you did some plans and didn't tell me about it for the show, and all of a sudden I'm just like learning about it in front of the people who came and there were guests on the show. And I'm like, man, why didn't you tell me that I was going to be interviewing people like this? And you're like, look, man, I'm just trying to do what's best for the show. I'd be like, come on, man, something's got to change. And I would walk off, right? And Alex is our Big E. And he would have to come in and say, listen, we brought this team together. We're in this together through thick and thin. This is the thin times now. We still got to stick together. And he would pull us back together. And that's why I'm thinking that this story is bringing back Big E. I don't know if it's as a wrestler, but I think he's going to be on television, and I think he's going to be on television really soon, and he's going to help these young men. They're not young anymore. These men. Help these men see the error in their ways and pull them back together again. I never thought you'd see the day where the New Day could break up, even potentially break up, but there's trouble in the air, Jeff. This is like nighttime soap opera stuff for men, y'all. This is heavy fucking drama.
I don't want them to break up, but I have 2 things that I'd be happy to see. So I don't want them to break up, but I did want them to do a heel turn. And I've been talking about the New Day doing a heel turn forever. They've missed so many opportunities with paralleling society, with BLM or any of those kind. They wanted to kind of capitalize on this, on the tensions that were going on on the globe, but more specifically America.
Like Nation of Domination style. Yeah, I hear you.
I would have loved that. And that you could have also done it like in a church way. Like in like old school, like black.
Biggie's
Southern
got that preacher voice, man.
Like, it would have been
amazing.
The
entrance is super preachery.
Church suits, like but you also made them heels, because people are pretty critical of church nowadays. But it would have been perfect for those kind of things.
Church is coming under fire too.
In a way, it's considered.
I'm out the
like
loop
this.
On everything but wrestling.
Yeah, young, and I don't want to speak for nothing is all, but I'll speak for a lot of young people. Will say like, when they think of church, they think of conservatives. They think of homophobia. They think of racism or those kind of things. So they think of
that. Just so everybody knows, our young listeners, there's probably some nice churches too.
It's great. Yeah, there's good people in every group. Now, what I will say is the other thing I would like to see them do is maybe become their own version of I know that you couldn't do a bloodline because these men aren't related, but you could make the New Day, like make Big E kind of like the captain or the manager or the whatever of a big stable of guys and be like, this is the New Day.
And I was a world champion, so listen to me. And Kofi seconding that. And I'm with that.
Get those young guys. I just think you could make a big stable of young guys who are badass that the New Day like and say like, this is the New Day. We were 3, but now we are many. Like you just make this big badass stable of what, because like the New Day is too famous and too big and too great to just get rid of that.
Yeah.
It's too good. I don't want to see it end. I just need to see it evolve is what I want to see. But those are the 2 things I would love to see from New Day. I don't need them to break up. I was a big advocate back in the day of breaking them up so that we could see maybe a singles run from Xavier or another singles run from Big E, because I wanted Big E to be like champ for a while.
You weren't alone. I think a lot of people wanted that. I could never see him breaking up. But yeah, I think a lot of people wanted to see that kind of conflict because it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, but those are my ideas. Steal them if you want, WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, WWE. All right. Friday Night SmackDown. we won't get into matches or anything like that, but there were some cool matches and a cool fist fight backstage between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. That fist fight looked so good, man. Carmelo had one look on his face like, dude, did you just legit punch me? Like it was so,
love to see it.
It was so good, man. But there was a really cool segment that Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes were a part of to get hyped for their match at Bad Blood. Is it called Bad Blood or Back to Blood or whatever they call it?
No idea.
But they're partners in a match. And they have to trust one another in this match, even though they're about to be fighting one another for another match for the World Championship. And I personally thought this was wonderful. I thought it was wonderfully done. It looked like I watch a lot of anime with my son to make sure it's appropriate and not like the freaky stuff. And we've gotten close a couple of times on the like, oh, if you like this, you'll like this. And I have to have the remote in my hand and be like, oh, Stan, we're pausing right there and finding Dragon Ball Z again. But this felt to me like a really cool anime scene where the two heroes, one anti-hero and one sort of Superman, nice guy hero, so Superman and Batman, having this conversation of like, look, only one of us can lead the Justice League. And you think it's you and I think it's me. And we're going to have a fucking problem because you may be Superman, but my whole suit's made out of kryptonite. So fuck you. Like this, it's going down. But first we have to deal with the Legion of Doom, which is, Solo and the new bloodline. And I thought it legit looked like something from My Hero Academia. People want to throw that word cinema around so much now that I'm never using it again. I think we used it first like 2 years ago with Sami Zayn. But yeah, I'll take credit for it. What? And so I'm never using that again. This was like anime. It wasn't cinema. It was anime. And the way they played with the camera and the low angles looking up, like everything felt anime. The music in the background, I think, is from like a video game trailer.
Really?
So, yeah, everything was just kind of lended itself to that young anime spirit. And I totally loved it. I thought they took a big swing. I could see if people don't like it because it's not the wrestling that we grew up on. But I thought it was a cool, really cool, and it was directed by Paul Heyman, actually. Our producer told me that. So shout out to Paul Heyman. If you guys dug it, now you know that too. If you didn't, maybe you'll like it more now. But I thought it was a really cool way to tell their story, to also build tension for their upcoming match and to leave things a little unsettled. Like, are they going to turn on each other? We don't know. And Roman had this great line where he says, "You're in my way." And Cody, the gentleman, always in the suit, always the gentleman, goes to stand out of his way. And he's like, "No, dude, he doesn't say dude, only my dumbass says dude. But he says, "No, dude, you're in my way in life." And Cody just has to take that bullet, but he doesn't like faint from it. He just takes that bullet. And Roman's like, and peace, you dick. And just fucking. And
the music hits and then he walks away pretty cowboy-esque. I liked it.
Did you? Okay. So did you like it?
Yeah, I also was a little.
By the way, your cowboy hat looked awesome. I saw it on Instagram. Your cowboy hat looks so cool. I wish I looked cool in a cowboy hat. Go ahead, though.
Of course, you'd look.
No, I tried one on, dude. It was not smooth. Maybe I just tried the wrong hat on.
Yeah, you'd look good in a cowboy hat. No, so first of all, it is so well received. This standoff in the middle of a football field where Roman Reigns once played. So much so that the wrestling nerds like myself were looking to see who made it, watching the credits of something because they liked it so much. I mean, I've never heard of anyone on anything going, I need to know who made this. I thought it was very, very cool. Again, a big swing, like you said. And I loved the opening part because I'm thinking, why the hell are they doing this? Why are we in a football field? I don't understand. But then for him to be like, this is my field, which means it's my town, which means it's my, if it's my field, which means it's my stadium. And if it's my stadium, it means it's my town. And then he's like, listen, pal, you played football here. This is my home.
That was a cold line too. That was cool.
So good. It was so well. It was very, very well done. I loved the "You're in my way in life." I don't often say this, but I got like chills and I was inspired. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, man.
there's some things in my way too, and I'm about to fucking walk right through it. Like I kind of was like, you know what? Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we're not going to be punks about the things that are in our way. We're going to deal with it. And I really liked that. I thought the whole thing was a big swing, and I could see how if maybe you're just scrolling through the channels and you watch that, you'd be like, what is this? I think it was really well done. It made me excited for the match. Also, bravo to Cody. I don't think I've ever given him credit for his acting chops until that moment. I've always just, I think his promos are
probably the best he's been.
Wow. I mean, I thought he was better than Roman, because wrestlers do this thing when they're listening to the other wrestler talk where they have to act like they're offended,
Actors do it too.
What a lot of wrestlers will do is the sniff. They go, there's a lot of sniffing when wrestlers are just listening. Like they think like,
I'm not going to name any, but I've worked with actors that do that stuff too.
It's insane. But Cody was amazing in it. Stayed perfectly true to like what we believe Cody Rhodes is. Yeah. I thought the whole segment was a good thing. Also, I don't know much about wrestlers in football, so I went to YouTube to find all of Roman Reigns' highlights of him playing in that field. There's some good stuff. Roman Reigns was a giant, chubby guy who had some big sacks in games. It was fun to watch. So little Easter egg, if you go out and look those up, it's a fun watch and a quick watch. He didn't play much, but it's a good watch.
So for all you listeners that get mad that we talk too much AEW and not enough WWE,
yeah,
I want all of you to know that we just did a whole episode for you and didn't even mention AEW, didn't even mention the Grand Slam Collision coming up, didn't even mention Danielson versus McGuinness, didn't even mention Mox versus Darby, didn't even mention that my man Hangman Page is going to try to kill Jeff Jarrett with a strap in a lumberjack match. Didn't even mention Sammy Guevara challenging the chap. Slap nuts. Hit me with that guitar. Remember when he hit Beetlejuice with it?
Yeah, I love it.
Sammy Guevara versus Okada. And if Sammy wins, he gets a shot at the Continental Championship. But Kazuchika is not letting that happen. So we didn't even talk about any of that. But stay tuned for Unsanctioned Thursday, where we're bringing back our first indie spotlight guest. We've had repeat guests. This is our first repeat indie wrestler, and we're bringing back Vinny Pacifico, catching up with him, seeing how he's doing, seeing if anyone stole his awesome gimmick yet. We'll get into that on Thursdays, trying to help wrestlers share their dreams and show you how to accomplish yours. So stay tuned for that Thursday. On behalf of Jeff Dye, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. Peace.
This has been a production of iHeart's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.